This is the Chefs Inc. News Podcast. News for chefs, created by chefs.
Noma destroyed my passion for the industry. I struggled with intense anxiety, bad enough to give me panic attacks in the middle of the night. The trauma, the abuse, and the idea that nothing would ever change led me to walk away from the career I loved. That was not written by some disgruntled employee with a grudge. That was written by someone who gave everything to one of the most celebrated kitchens on this planet. Someone who believed in the craft, who sacrificed years of their life, who cooked in a kitchen that was ranked the best in the world 5 times. And it broke them.
Another person wrote this: I got punched in the face during service. Not a metaphor, not an exaggeration. Punched in the face. In a professional kitchen.
Today, we talk about all of it. The fall of René Redzepi, the collapse of a mythology, the sickness that has been hiding in fine dining kitchens for decades, and, crucially, what we do about it now. Music interesting. Guten Tag, and welcome back to Chefs Inc. News, the podcast where we do not look away from the hard stories. I am Chef Antonio, your host, and today there is no small talk, no warm-up. This episode goes straight to the fire.
And I am Dr. Sophia, business strategist, nutritionist, and today, your witness. Because what has happened this week in the culinary world is not just a scandal. It is a reckoning. Chefs Inc. News. News for chefs, created by chefs. And this is one of the most important stories we will ever cover.
Season 2, Episode 5. And meine Damen and Herren, ladies and gentlemen, we did not come here to whisper. Let us start with the facts, pure and hard. On March 7th, 2026, the New York Times published a bombshell investigative report. Not a rumor, not a tabloid piece, the New York Times. 35 former employees of Noma and Copenhagen were interviewed on the record, describing a pattern of physical and psychological abuse that they say occurred under René Redzepi in 2009 and 2017. Nearly a decade, Jaco.
And the accounts were not vague. They were specific, disturbing, documented. Workers reported being punched, being jabbed with kitchen tools, being slammed against walls, being publicly humiliated in front of entire kitchen brigades, being threatened with career blacklisting, and in some cases, with immigration consequences if they spoke up or pushed back.
Jason Ignacio White, the former head of fermentation at Noma, he collected anonymous testimonies and posted them to his Instagram, and they went viral overnight. Story after story of people who left Noma carrying wounds that had nothing to do with knife cuts or burns.
One person wrote, I got punched in the face during service there, full stop. Another described panic attacks in the middle of the night. Another said they walked away from the career they had spent their entire life building. These are not complaints about hard work or long hours. This is trauma. Clinical, documented, life-altering trauma.
Unglaublich. Unbelievable, and yet, Sophia, tragically, entirely believable to anyone who has worked in elite kitchens.
4 days after the New York Times story, on March 11th, René Redzepi posted a tearful video on Instagram and announced his resignation. He stepped down from daily operations at Noma and resigned from the board of the MAD Foundation, the culinary nonprofit he himself had founded. His statement, and I want everyone to hear this exactly as he said it,
I have worked to be a better leader, and Noma has taken big steps to transform the culture over many years. I recognize these changes do not repair the past. An apology is not enough. I take responsibility for my own actions.
And the timing could not have been more dramatic, because on that same day, Noma was opening a $1,500 per seat, 16-week pop-up residency in Silver Lake, Los Angeles. The restaurant that just lost its founder opened its doors to protesters outside and empty sponsored chairs inside.
American Express withdrew. Resi withdrew. Blackbird, the hospitality startup, withdrew, all pulling their sponsorships within days of the story breaking. And yet, the pop-ups still sold out. Every seat, $1,500 each, still full.
Ay, eso está más caliente que una plancha de arepas. And that tension right there, that is the whole story in one image. An industry and a public that simultaneously condemns and keeps buying tickets.
And let that sink in for a moment. Protesters outside, sponsors gone, the founder resigned, and every single table still full. That is not just irony. That is the diagnosis of an industry that has not yet decided what it believes. Now, here is where we stop being polite. Because the real question is not just what Redzepi did. The real question is, how did this go on for nearly a decade? And who allowed it?
Mira, te voy a decir algo. Let me tell you something. The abuse at Noma was not a secret. It was an open secret. The culinary world, the critics, the award bodies, the sponsors, the media, they knew the culture. The stories circulated for years. Chefs who staged at Noma came home with scars, physical and psychological, and whispered about it in kitchens across the world. And the industry said nothing.
Because the food was extraordinary, because the rankings kept coming, because Noma was ranked world's best restaurant 5 times, because Redzepi had 3 Michelin stars, because he was knighted by the Queen of Denmark in 2016. Knighted, while this was happening behind closed kitchen doors.
This is what we call the prestige shield. When a brand becomes powerful enough, when the accolades pile high enough, the institution becomes untouchable. The world's 50 best organization, the Michelin Guide, the sponsors, these bodies wield enormous power in our industry. And for years, not one of them used that power to say, we need to look behind the kitchen doors.
Holy schnitzel, let us be direct about the economics too, because this is a business show and the numbers matter. Noma's model was built in significant part on unpaid interns, young cooks working for free for weeks, sometimes months, for the privilege of having Noma on their CV. The most celebrated restaurant on earth ran a significant portion of its labor on exploitation. That is not a side detail, that is the foundation.
The American Culinary Federation has reported that the food and hospitality industry has the highest rate of substance use disorder of any industry in the United States. The Burnt Chef Project has found that 4 out of 5 hospitality professionals report experiencing at least one mental health issue during their career. 4 out of 5. Those numbers did not come from nowhere. They came from decades of exactly this culture. Normalized aggression, normalized exploitation, normalized suffering in the name of excellence.
And I want to say something personal here. I have worked in high-pressure kitchens for 30 years. I know what service pressure feels like. I know what a brutal shift looks like. I know that kitchens are not offices, but there is a line, a very clear line between intensity and abuse, between high standards and violence, between demanding the best from your team and punching them in the face. That line was not crossed at Noma, it was erased, and the industry applauded.
Noma was not an anomaly. Research and reporting consistently show that the Brigade culture, the military hierarchy of the professional kitchen, has normalized behavior in fine dining that would result in criminal charges in any other workplace. The chef as general, the cook as soldier. No questions, no complaints, no rights.
And the young chefs who came through Noma, many of them are now running kitchens of their own. And what did they learn? What model did they absorb? What did they bring with them? That is the question that should keep us all awake at night.
So why is this the moment it finally breaks? 3 things changed. First, social media. Jason White posting those anonymous testimonies on Instagram meant that within hours, tens of thousands of industry people had read accounts that would previously have stayed in private whisper networks. The kitchen walls no longer contain the story.
Number 2, generational shift. The young chefs and cooks entering this industry now are not the same people as 20 years ago. They grew up with conversations about mental health, workplace rights, and safe environments. They are not willing to accept what previous generations accepted as part of the game. They will walk out, they will post, they will testify.
And number 3, the financial model was already collapsing. Noma itself admitted before this scandal that it was struggling under its own weight. Rising labor costs, chronic burnout, the economics of feeding 40 people a night while employing a team of 80, it simply does not add up without exploitation filling the gap. And when American Express looked at the situation and said, "Not with our name on it," that was a message every restaurant owner, every investor, every award body in this industry needs to hear loud and clear.
Now, this is the most important segment of this entire episode, and we want every chef, every cook, every dishwasher, every hospitality worker who is listening right now to hear this clearly. If you are in a toxic kitchen, you are not alone. If you have experienced abuse, intimidation, threats, or violence in your workplace, you are not alone. If you are suffering right now, there are people who will help you. Real organizations, real humans, real resources, free, available now.
We researched this carefully. These are verified, active organizations that exist specifically for people in our industry. Write these down. Save this episode. Share it with someone who needs it.
Numa 1, the Burnt Chef Project. Go to theburnchefproject.com. This is a globally recognized nonprofit that exists for one reason: to eradicate mental health stigma in the hospitality industry. They offer free 24/7 mental health support, an e-learning academy, workplace training programs, and a free resource library. 4 out of 5 hospitality professionals experience at least one mental health issue during their career. This organization was built for those 4 people. Free, available now.
Number 2, Not 9 to 5 at not9to5.org, a global leader in mental health advocacy specifically for food service and hospitality sector. If you are struggling with depression, anxiety, thoughts of suicide, substance abuse, or workplace harassment, this is where you go. They serve the USA and Canada with no judgment and no stigma.
Nummer 3, Giving Kitchen at givingkitchen.org. Giving Kitchen was built by and for food service workers. They provide emergency financial assistance, real money when you need it, plus a full network of mental health and stability resources. If you are in crisis financially or emotionally, this organization can help you immediately. They also partner with BetterHelp for free therapy sessions for food service workers.
Number 4, Chow, Culinary, Hospitality, Outreach, and Wellness at chowco.org. Think of Chow as your personal resource broker. You tell them what you need, and they find the right support for you. Therapy, financial assistance, addiction recovery, workplace advocacy. They also partner with 86 Harassment, which is specifically dedicated to creating safer and more respectful workplaces across the hospitality industry.
Numa 5, Southern Smoke Foundation. If you are a food and beverage worker in California, Illinois, Louisiana, New York, or Texas, their Behind You program provides no-cost mental health counseling, 0 cost, for you and your family. They also offer emergency financial relief to workers across the entire country. Find them at southernsmokefoundation.org.
And for substance use and addiction specifically, because we know this industry carries the highest rates of any sector, Ben's Friends at bensfriendshope.com. Daily virtual meetings, in-person support groups, a real community of food and beverage professionals who understand your world and will never judge you for what happened in it.
And if you or someone you know is in immediate crisis, right now, today, dial 988, the Suicide and Crisis Lifeline. 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, free, confidential in the United States. Or call SAMHSA, the Substance Abuse and Mental Health Services Administration, at 1-800-662-4357. Same thing, free, right now.
These are not suggestions, these are lifelines. And the American Culinary Federation at acfchefs.org has compiled all of these resources and more in one place on their Wellness Resources page. If you are a chef or culinary student anywhere in this country, that page exists for you.
Ach, das ist richtig. And I want to say this directly to every chef who runs a kitchen and is listening right now. You have a responsibility, not just to the food, not just to your guests, to the human beings who stand beside you every single day. If your kitchen has no harassment policy, fix it today. If your staff have no safe way to report abuse, build it today. Fair Kitchens at fairkitchens.com has a complete toolkit to help you create a healthier kitchen culture. Use it, no excuses.
And let me give you the business case, because facts are the real spice here. The restaurant industry's staff turnover rate in the United States exceeds 70% annually. 70%. Do you know what it costs to constantly recruit, train, and replace people? It is economically devastating. Toxic culture is not just morally wrong, it is financially stupid.
Wonderbar point, Sophia. Kitchens with respectful, healthy cultures retain their talent. Retained talent means consistency. Consistency means quality. Quality means reputation. Reputation means revenue. The most sustainable restaurant is not the most feared kitchen, it is the most humane one.
And the next generation of chefs will be judged on two things simultaneously: the food they put on the plate and the culture they create behind the kitchen door. Those two things are now completely inseparable. Investors understand this. Sponsors understand this, as we saw very clearly when American Express walked away from a $1,500 a seat sold-out pop-up. The era of the tyrant chef is not just morally over, it is strategically over. It is financially over.
The only chefs who haven't gotten the memo are the ones who are going to be the next story.
And now, our question for you. For every single person listening in your kitchen, your car, your commute, your home.
Have you experienced or witnessed toxic behavior in a professional kitchen? And here is the harder question. Did you stay silent? And if you did, why? What would have needed to be different for you to speak up? We want to hear from you. Find us on YouTube at Chefs Incredible. That is youtube.com/chefs_inc, on Spotify and on Podbean. All links are in the show notes. DM us, comment, tell us your truth.
And if this episode helped you, share it right now. Send it to someone in your kitchen. Send it to a chef you know, because this information could save a career. It could save a life.
This episode of Chefs Inc. News is proudly sponsored by Chefs Inc. Miami, the premier catering and private chef service in North Miami Beach, Florida. Chef Michael Smyrda brings 30 years of European culinary mastery, cutting-edge 3D food printing, and laser engraving to your most exclusive events. From private dinners to corporate experiences, Chefs Inc. delivers the extraordinary. Visit chefsinc.com or call 786-419-1386.
Before we go, a question from our last episode. Listener Marco from Miami wrote, Chef Antonio, do you think AI will replace chefs in the next 10 years?
Marco, I truly appreciate the bravery of sending that question directly to a chef.
Marco, ich sage nein. No. AI can generate a recipe. AI can optimize a menu. But AI cannot taste. AI cannot feel the exact moment a sauce is perfectly right. AI cannot look a guest in the eyes and know, instinctively, what they need tonight. The soul of cooking is human. It will always be human. But yeah, chefs who use AI as a tool, they will absolutely outperform chefs who refuse to. That is the truth. And if you want to go deeper on that exact topic, pick up the book Kitchen Science Fiction by Chef Michael Smyrda, available now on Amazon. The link is in the show notes. Trust me, it will change completely how you see the future of your kitchen. This story is not over. René Redzepi's resignation is not the end of anything. It is the beginning of a conversation this industry has been avoiding for decades. every chef listening to this has a role to play in your kitchen, in your brigade, and how you treat the people who stand beside you every single day.
The resources are in the show notes. The hotlines are real. The organizations are standing by for you right now. If you need help, reach out. If someone around you needs help, reach out for them. An industry that genuinely takes care of its people is an industry worth fighting for.
Danke schön, truly, deeply for listening. This was Season 2, Episode 5 of Chefs Inc. News. Take care of each other out there. Auf Wiedersehen.